Here's something nobody's going to tell you at school or at work, or even in those self-help books that promise to fix your social life. If the idea of walking into a packed restaurant makes your stomach flip, if you genuinely choose a quiet evening with a book over the hottest party in town, if crowds make you feel like you're drowning in noise and faces and expectations, you're not broken. You're not weird. You're not even slightly damaged. What you are is operating on a completely different frequency than most people, and honestly, once you understand why, you'll realize you've been holding a superpower this whole time while everyone else convinced you it was a weakness. The thing is, society has this one-size-fits-all template for what a healthy social life looks like, and if you don't fit that template, suddenly you're the problem. But what if I told you that your aversion to crowds isn't a bug in your system? It's actually a feature that's been working perfectly all along. It's Friday night, and your phone lights up with a message from friends. They're all heading to this new place downtown, live music, packed dance floor, the whole deal, and in that split second, something inside you just shuts down. It's more like your entire being is quietly calculating the cost of this evening, running the numbers on how much energy you'll spend, how drained you'll feel tomorrow, how many forced smiles you'll have to maintain, how many surface-level conversations about nothing you'll need to endure. And then your brain does something brilliant. It says no thanks. Not because you're antisocial or because you hate fun, but because you've learned something crucial about yourself. You've learned that your energy is finite, precious, and worth protecting. That's not a character flaw. That's emotional intelligence. Now, let's talk about what's actually happening in your brain when you're in a crowd. Most people walk into a busy environment and their brain has this automatic filtering system that kicks in immediately. But your brain is running a completely different operating system. You walk into that same space and suddenly you're aware of everything simultaneously. The person laughing too loud 3 tables away, the flicker in the overhead lighting, the subtle tension in someone's voice across the room, the way the music shifts tempo, the conversations bleeding into each other, every micro-expression on every face in your line of sight. Scientists have a term for this: sensory processing sensitivity. Your nervous system is picking up signals that other people's brains automatically filter out. And here's the crucial part. This isn't a disorder. This isn't something that needs to be fixed. You're not overthinking the situation. Your brain is literally receiving and processing more sensory information than the person standing next to you, who seems totally fine. And it doesn't stop at just noticing things in the moment. Your brain takes all that information and files it away. That's your neural network doing exactly what it was designed to do, which is recognize patterns and make sense of complex social dynamics that fly completely under other people's radar. For thousands of years, humans survived because we had people with different types of awareness in the group. The extroverts were great for building group cohesion. But you know who kept the group alive? The people like you, the ones who noticed danger in situations that seemed fine on the surface. Your brain is wired for a different kind of valuable awareness. The problem isn't you. The problem is that modern life, with its constant noise, its packed spaces, its relentless stimulation, wasn't designed with your type of nervous system in mind. When you avoid crowds, people think you hate people or that you're antisocial. But that's not it at all. What you actually hate is the performance. Because here's what happens in crowds. Everyone puts on a mask, and you can see through every single one of these masks, and it's absolutely exhausting. Not because you're judging these people, you're not, but because your brain is involuntarily reading the real conversation happening beneath the words. You're picking up on body language, energy shifts, tonal inconsistencies, the gap between what people say and what they actually mean. You're not socially awkward, you're socially sophisticated. You'd rather have one real, honest, deep conversation than attend events where everyone's performing their carefully curated highlight reel. That's integrity. That's knowing what genuine connection actually feels like and refusing to accept anything less. The problem isn't that you can't do small talk. You absolutely can when you need to. The problem is that your brain experiences surface-level conversation like eating cardboard. Your nervous system craves substance. It craves depth. It craves real connection where you can talk about ideas that matter, where you can be honest about how you actually feel, where you don't have to perform or pretend. When you're forced into those surface-level exchanges, you can smile and nod and say the right things. But at what cost to your energy? Real connection doesn't happen in crowds. It happens in quiet spaces between 2 or 3 people who are willing to be vulnerable and honest and present. Now, let's talk about your brain chemistry for a minute. When extroverts walk into a party, their brains release dopamine, and suddenly they're energized. But your brain doesn't work that way. Your system runs primarily on a completely different neurotransmitter called acetylcholine. While dopamine rewards external stimulation, acetylcholine rewards internal focus, deep thinking, and introspection. Reading a book when the house is quiet, that lights up your reward centers. Taking a solo walk, that's where your brain finds its flow state. Sitting in a quiet room, just thinking, processing, making connections between ideas, that's you accessing your full mental operating system. When it looks like you're doing nothing, your brain is actually doing everything. You walk into a space and immediately you know something's off. Maybe there's tension between 2 people. Maybe someone's having a terrible day but putting on a brave face, and everyone else seems totally oblivious, but you feel it in your bones. Most people observe emotions from a distance. You download them directly into your own nervous system. Spend an hour in a crowd, and you're not just managing your own emotions and energy levels. You're unconsciously absorbing and processing the stress, anxiety, excitement, boredom, and chaos of everyone around you. No wonder you need time to recover from a social event. You're not being dramatic. You're genuinely experiencing a level of emotional and sensory input that would overwhelm most people. But here's where this goes from being a burden to being a superpower. This ability to read rooms, to sense what people are feeling, to pick up on emotional undercurrents that everyone else misses, this makes you one of the most emotionally intelligent people in any space you enter. You understand subtext. You read between the lines. You sense what people need before they even know how to articulate it. That's not a curse. That's a gift. This is why the few close relationships you maintain tend to be incredibly deep and meaningful. You're not collecting acquaintances. You're building genuine connections. When you choose solitude over crowds, when you protect your energy and your peace, you're not running away from life. You're running toward yourself. Silence isn't empty. It's where clarity lives. Solitude isn't loneliness. It's where you actually get to meet yourself, understand yourself, develop your own thoughts without the constant noise of other people's opinions and expectations drowning out your own voice. You're not missing out on anything. You're deliberately opting out of a system that was never designed for people who think deeply, feel deeply, and see deeply. The next time someone asks why you don't go out more, remember, you don't owe anyone an explanation for protecting your energy. You don't owe anyone access to your time just because they think you should be more social. Choosing to avoid crowds doesn't mean you're antisocial or broken or damaged. It means you value quality over quantity. It means you'd rather have genuine friends who know your soul than acquaintances who know your face. It means you understand that your nervous system has limits and you respect those limits. This is self-awareness. This is knowing yourself well enough to make choices that honor who you actually are instead of who society thinks you should be. So the next time you're sitting at home on a Friday night, reading or thinking or just existing in peace while your phone buzzes with invitations to places that would drain you, remember this. Your peace isn't isolation. It's liberation. You're not broken. You're not boring. You're not missing out. You're built for depth in a world that's obsessed with noise. So protect your energy. Honor your needs. Choose solitude when you need it. Seek depth over breadth. Value authenticity over popularity. And never ever apologize for being exactly who you are. Because you're not the problem. You never were.